Today's daf is daf Tzadik Gimel. Today being Thursday. We're learning about Hananya, Mishael, Azariah, and we were saying that tzaddikim are even greater than the malachim. As Ruchanetza said, he saw the three people, Hanam, Mishael, Azariah, and right behind them was Malach Gabriel. So they came first. So we're up to the Gemara, 4 lines from the bottom, the top of the page. That's how the Gimel Amud Aleph. Amar Tanchum bar Chaniloi, Tanchum the son of Chaniloi said, when they exited the fiery furnace, Bo Kol Umas Ha'olam, all the nations of the world came, and they smacked and they hit, with an expression, a euphemism, the seinim of the Yidden, which actually is referring to Yidden themselves, and hit them on their face. Amrun, they said to them, I don't understand. You have such a great God. Yesh lachem elokah kazeh. You have such a wonderful God. The atem mishtachrim letzelem, and you opted out and you decided to worship idols. Why would you do that? Miyad, immediately, paschu v'amrus, immediately, Hanani, Mishael, Azariah, they started to say, L'cho Hashem atzdaka, v'lanu b'ishes aponim. Hashem, you're righteous, and we are embarrassed. Kayem azeh, like this day. Amr Shua Nachmeni, Amr Rabbi Yisrael, I have seen another pasuk. Amarti, Hashem is saying, I thought the Ele Ketama, that I will raise the Yidden like a palm tree. But instead, all I have is a branch. What does that mean? Amarti, I said, Ele Betama, Elu Yisrael, these were the Yidden. I thought that all the Yidden will be like tzaddikim, but instead, actually, all of the other, instead, I wasn't successful. One little group, one branch of Hananya, Mishael, Azariah. The rest did not live up to my expectations. Amar Rabbi Yechon said, this is what it says in Pasuk. Re'isi halayla, I saw the night. I saw this man riding on a red horse. And he was standing by the hadassim, in the middle of the Sheba Matsula, that found himself there in the swamp in the moisture. What did I find at night? Hashem was so angry with what happened, how all the Eden worshipped the idol at the time. But Nebuchadnezzar said he wanted to destroy the whole world, the Laila, just like darkness. He wanted to bring darkness into the world. In Ish Reichiv, there was a man who is this Ish that was riding, Ein Ish HaKadosh Baruch Hu, referring to Abish himself. So Hashem is referred to as Ish. Al Sus Adam, on a red horse, meaning Bikish HaKadosh Baruch Hu lahafech es ha'olam kula damim. So angry, he wanted to transform the entire world into just make a big bloodbath. And he saw Hanani and Azariah were ready to be moist and nefesh. This God, the Daita Hashem, calmed down. Remember it says, placated Hashem, Hashem held back. Bein hadasim Hashem and Metzula. What does that mean? Bein hadasim tzaddikim. He held back on account of the tzaddikim. Shneimar he oimin es Hadasa, referring to Esther as Hadasa, because she was a tzaddikis. The ein Metzula ela bubble, referring to Metzula is bubble. Shneimar it says oimil letzola charbi. Whoever's at tzola dried up. In the Horeseich Oivish, and its rivers were all dry up. Is a miyad melayim regiz, right away Hashem. We got angry. What do you mean? Nasa shrukim va'adumim, became colored and va'adumim. The red ones nasa and became white. What do you mean? Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. At the end of the previous pasuk, Yisrael Laila. What happened there? Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Amar Papa Shmamina. Sorry, skipped the line. So what happened was that first the red horse sort of became colored, so lost some of the redness, and then eventually became white. I mean, Hashem completely calmed down and forgave the Yidden. If you have a dream about a white horse, that's a good omen. But after this story of Hanani, Mishael, Azariah, we know nothing about it. What happened to them? Amar Rav says the three opinions. Rav says, "Ba'ayin hara mesa." They all die from ayin hara. Ushmul Amar baroik tavu. They all die from ayin hara. Rav himself said in Bab Metzia that 99% of the people die from ayin hara, and only 1% of the people die from natural causes. So Rav says here again, they die. Everybody saw how they were saved. Everyone gave them an ayin hara, and because of that they died. Shmuel says, Baroik Tavu, with a spit they died. That spit that all the nations of the world, salivated and basically spit out against the Eden, they died from that. So the Rambam explains it's only a metaphor. What it means is they died from the shame that the rest of the Eden couldn't stand up to Nebuchadnezzar and they all worshipped idols. So they died from the shame, which happened when they were spinning. And the Chacham maybe nothing like that. All led to Israel. They eventually went to Israel. Nosu, Noshim. They married women. But the Bonamas had families of their own. Says the Gemara Tanoi. In fact, the three Tanaim argue this very same thing. Rabbi Yeshua, they died from saliva, from the spit, the buildup of the spit. All at Israel, they went to Israel, the Nosu, Noshim, by the Bonamas had children, families. And it says, Shemana Yeshua Kohen Gadol, the Yeshua Kohen Gadol. Should listen. He was the first Kohen Gadol about the base of Migdash. After you, V'reach, and your friends, Hayoshu Fanecha, that sit before you. He Anshem Mait for saying the miracle men. Who were the miracle men that we know of? Eizem and Oshan Aslam, who the miracle men that we know of? Is a Hanani Meshov Azariah. So they were there. So we want to find. So now we know what happened to Hanani Meshov Azariah. But what happened to Daniel? Why was Daniel involved in the whole story? Nebuchadnezzar said you have to bow down to the statue, and we have Hanani Meshov Azariah refused. And where was Daniel in all of this? So what it says, Rav said he left the land, left the country when this whole story happened. The Mivri Nara Rabbat Tveria, he went to start to dig out some new rivers around Tveria, or others say Betur in the mountain. Ushmul Amar Lasuye Biza Dasafsda, he went to go get animal fodder. And Rabbi Yochanan said, Lasuye Chazidi de Alexander Shemitzrayim. He went back to Mitzrayim, even though you're not go to Mitzrayim, but here he went, go to live there, but he went for business, and he went to what? To buy the pigs and bring them back to raise a poultry farm, a pig farm. So it's not so. We know that you cannot raise any pig farms of Mitzrayim because the pigs are unbelievable, and we learned. But Tanya, because we might have a discussion if a female animal loses a uterus, if it's trefanat, and Tudas Areifa said it's not because in Tudas ain't part of the chazeda yotzim l'gzam Mitzrayim that any animal that leaves, especially a pig or a bull that leaves from a cow that leaves from Alexander Mitzrayim, they make sure that they remove the uterus. Ain't chaytchina aim shalah. That they do not cut out the uterus because they don't want to have any competition. So how did Daniel go out and break out pigs? Now, the Gemara could have answered maybe because Nebuchadnezzar sent them, they sold them some. But anyway, the Gemara says, Zutra Aisi Beloyatayu. He only smuggled out some small ones, and they thought, he's not going to spend the time to raise it. He probably just wants to eat it, so they let him. Torah we learned, there were three people involved in this idea that Daniel should not be around during this decree. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibishter, Daniel, and the Nebuchadnezzar. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I want Daniel to leave, Nazel, Daniel, let him leave, I don't want them to say, but is not. I don't want people to say, you know what, Hanan was saved, because Daniel, the great man, protected them. I want people to know that they were saved because they believed in Hashem. It was Hashem who took them out. Daniel said, I better get out of here, because they turned Daniel into a getchka, into an idol. The Nebuchadnezzar label conferred upon Daniel the status of being an idol. So the Leileikim Bei Psila came to she was worried that they'll throw him into the fire. He will die, he will perish because he was an idol. And maybe you have to get rid of all the idols. And the Nebuchadnezzar also wanted Daniel to leave town. From here to Leimu, people shouldn't say, he thought maybe they'll die from the fire, and people say, this is the idol you believed in. Look at that. He perished in the fire. How do people actually worship Daniel himself? It says that Bada at that time, Malkut Nebuchadnezzar fell on his face with Daniel, and he bowed down to Daniel. It says further, okay, so this is what Hashem said. El Achav ben Koloya, this is not the king Achav, this is a false prophet called Achav, the son of Koloya, at Sikio ben Maisel. You people prophesied in my name, which is all false. It says, we'll take from them a curse, Asher Bebubble, to the exile Yehuda in Bubble. Lema to say, Yisimcha Hashem should place you Kitzikiyo Ka'achav. Like Tzikio, like Achav, you should have the same fate as them. Asher Kolim Melech Bubble the eighth. They burnt to cinders by Mela Bubble, just like toasted wheat, which is very, very slow, very painful. Asher Sor Famloy Never, El Asher Kolam, they burnt them, which is Kolam, like toasted wheat, which means very slow and painful. What's the story? Who are these false prophets? What did they do so bad? Made them like toasted wheat. What happened? Yan Asher also the we saw they did a terrible abomination by the Eden, by Yinafu is a Shadem, and they desired the wives of their friends. My Ovid, what exactly did they do? Also, the Gabi Barted they went to the door of Nebuchadnezzar. Achav Amullah, Achav, the false prophet, said to the door of Nebuchadnezzar, Koyamar Hashem, this is what Hashem said, Hashmi el Tzidkiyo. Tzidkiyo must have relations with you, intimate relations with you, and listen to what Tzidkiyo says. Then Tzidkiyo came along to her and said, Koyamar Hashem, Hashmi el Achav. You should listen to the prophet Achav and have intimate relations with him. Oslo, she went, but Amalavu, she went and told the father, the two big prophets told me that I have to have relations with them. Muhammad said, no way. Hashem does not like adultery. If they ever come back to you again, send them to me. They came back to her. She sent them to Nebuchadnezzar. He said to them, who told this to you? They both said, this is a message from God. We're on a mission here. So he says, I once asked them if they're allowed to commit adultery. They said, also forbidden. They said to him, we're equal to Hanani Mishal Vazai, we're prophets. To them, they weren't told, but to us, we were told. Now, the truth of the matter is, Hanani Mishal Vazai were not prophets at all. But this is what the story they're saying to Nebuchadnezzar. He said to them, I need to check you guys out, just like I checked out Hanani Mishal Vazai. I threw them into the fiery furnace, they survived. I'm going to do the same thing to you guys. They said it's not fair. There were three, therefore the schus of the three, they were able to. Only two. He said to them, fine. Okay, choose a third person who should join you. Man, who do you want to join with you? And I'm going to throw three of you in the fire. They chose Yeshua Kohen Gadol, who's a big tzaddik, and they hope that in his schus they will be safe as well. So they thought, later Yeshua, the number schus is not a schusim, and will protect them. They brought them out. Shadina threw them in. They all got burnt, but Yeshua Kohen Gadol, Yeshua Kohen Gadol, only his clothes got singed. Shnema, it says in Pasuk that it says here, "Vayareni es Yeshua," and I saw Yeshua Kohen Gadol. Oimed lifnei malach Hashem, standing before a malach, and it says, "Vayem Hashem l'satan." Hashem said to Satan, "Yigar Hashem ba." Hashem will get angry. And so on. So something happened here with Yeshua a little bit as well. I know you're a tzaddik. So Nebuchadnezzar says, I don't understand. I know you're a tzaddik. So we know that the son killed his other two. But Yeshua, his clothes got burnt. He said, I know you're a tzaddik. My time, why did the fire have a little bit of impact, at least on your clothing? So he said, and nothing happened to them at all, not even the clothing. He said, Abraham was only one, and Ur Kaznim, he came out. He was alone, with no Rishayim with him. So the fire had no right at all. Here there were two Rishayim with me. And the fire had a right to burn, so therefore it burned a little bit of me. In fact, people say, today, that if you have two dry sticks, one wet one, the dry ones will affect the wet one. So therefore the Rishayim affected me. And here's worse, two Rishayim. My time he punished. Why Taka was he punished? I'm going to publish a bon of Nois and Nashim. Yeshua Kohen Gadol, his own children married women were not appropriate for a Kohen. And the Loi Michaben and the father, he intervened. And that's why he was never really sure whether he's wearing dirty clothes. If it's possible he's sure what dirty clothes. His children married women that should be inappropriate. He didn't stop this. Tanchum says that Tanchum, it says a positive. Sheish has the Rus told Naomi that he gave me 6 barleys. Now, what does it mean? Elaine was sheish soidim, just 6 barley seeds. The chidarke sheboyaz litin matana sheish soidim. Was he so stingy that he gave him just 6 barley seeds? Ella sheish soim must be the measure of sheish soim. It's not. The Rashi says it couldn't be 6 kavin or 6 loyin because that's too small. You don't give normally measures less than sa. If it's 6 or 6 sa, the Gemara B'Metzia says that an average man can only carry 5 sa. How in the world is Rus can carry 6? Is a common for a woman on her own to carry 6 soin. So Gemara says, you're right. He only gave us 6 kernels, 6 seeds, but he wasn't giving it to her as food. He was he was giving her a hint. Shasidin Shisha Bani lots of men. 6 great children will be born from Rus. So 6 great descendants. Each one of them will have 6 brachas. The Elohim, these are they: David, Mashiach, Daniel, and Hanan Mishal Azariah. David, the Sibit says, it says one of the young persons will turn out later. We'll see it's David Dami. Said to our show, you want to know who David Melech is? Yarisi ben Lisha. Saw a son to Yisha, Vesalach, Migadei, Nagi, knows how to sing. Kiba Chayil is strong. The Ish Mochama is a man of war. And the Novain, and David understands the Ish Toya, and he's intelligent. And he's a handsome person. And Vashem Hashem is always with him. The Doig said this whole pasuk is complimenting him, but all these 6 compliments were actually there to drive a wedge between David and Shaul. And Shaul should be so jealous of David, he'll rid himself of David. What do you mean when you say the Naga Shadei Shaul? You can ask him, and he knows how to ask good questions. Giba Shadei answer good answers. Ishmael Chama Shadei Lisa Velitin he knows how to wage a war in Muhammad Shaltaida. And Vashem, or Ish Taya Shemad upon Malacha, that he shows that he's able to demonstrate, halachas, that he knows the halacha, but Novan Dover Shemabin Dover understands one thing for another. And Vashem Mimoish, the halacha Kamoisha B'chol Makom, the halacha like him everywhere, B'kulu. B'kulu, in the first 5 compliments, Amalahu, he said, Yonis is equal to David. Abakiva Namle, when he said the last compliment by Hashem, that Hashem always rules like David, side with David, Milson de Namila Havadeh. Shaul himself didn't have it. Cholah Daiti fell weak, and he became envious of David. The Shaul by Shaul says the Chol Asher Yifne Yashir, wherever he turned, he made mistakes. Well, the David says the Chol Asher Yifne Yatzliach. So Gemara asks, who's always being successful? The Nola the Doig, I know the Doig. Here it says, one of the young people said, and he goes on to give the compliments. Mehanor means the top person, the most eminent of the young people. And then there it says, the Sham Ish Ma'avde Show, was there standing one of the servants of the show by Yemon that day. Netzar Lifna Hashem. He stopped before Hashem. He kept on learning Torah. Shmoi Doiga Doimi, as they were Doiga Doimi. And who was he? Abid Haroim, the strongest of the shepherds. Asher L'Shol. Mashiach. So therefore, we see that he was a top guy, and that was Doiga Doimi. Mashiach. How do you know Mashiach comes to roost? See what it says. And we're the 6 brachas by Mashiach. Sorry, we're the 6 brachas of V'noch. All of Ruach Hashem, the Spirit of Hashem should reign on him, and then what will happen? Ruach Chachma, the Spirit of Chachma, Bina, and Ruach Eitzel Gvuram, of counsel and strength, and Ruach Das, the Yiras Hashem, and understanding Yiras Hashem. So we see 6 different compliments. See, it says regarding Mashiach, Yiras Hashem, that he will smell with the fear of Hashem. That Mashiach inu mitzvahs the Yisurin Kilachaim. The word Varechik and the word mil, that he's burdened with so many mitzvahs, and he will also have many sufferings, just like a mill. Rava says no. The Meilach Vadoyin, Mashiach has the capacity that when he has a din Torah amongst 2 people, doesn't even have to hear the case or anything else. He can right away smell who's innocent and who's guilty. So Meilach Vadoyin, see, it says in the pasuk, he won't have to see to judge and not what he hears, but rather he will judge the poor with justice, and he will lead in a straight way the humble people in the land. And that means he can smell who is innocent and who is guilty. So the Gemara, Bar Kuziva, Molach, Tartish, Nain, Palga, Bar Kuziva, reigned for 2.5 years. Amul Rabban, he said to the rabbis, I'm Mashiach. Mashiach said the criteria of Mashiach is that he can smell who's right and who's wrong. Let's see if you can do that. Kim the Chazi, the sword, that he couldn't, and yet he declared himself Mashiach. Kaklu, they killed him. Now, this Ben Kuziva is not Bar Kochva, as we know. Bar Kochva, as Yishalmi says, he died because he had the Rabbi Lezer Medoye killed. And this is later, so this is a person, Bar Kuziba, who is named after Bar Kochva, or he just happened to have the same name. Then Gemara says, Chanaim Shavazaya, Chanaim Shavazaya, Daniel Chanaim Shavazaya, these four, the Chsibahu, also. They all have six brachas that descend from Rus. Chsibahu, it says, Asher Ein Behem Komum, they have no faults whatsoever. And they look handsome, masculine, they're wise, the whole Chachman, and every Chachman over there, das, they understand things, and they know, they understand, I guess, or knowledge. And and they have the strength, to stand in the courtyard of the king, Ula Lamdam Sefer, Lushain Kastam, the teaching Sefer, Lushain Kastam. So six compliments here. We have no defects. Even just the blood circulation, they didn't have to worry about. They didn't have to do any bloodletting at all. They were very healthy people, healthy specimens. They have the strength to stand in the courtyard of the king. They're holding us back to laughter, from nonsense talk, from sleeping. They were so loyal. They were totally. And they stood there, Bisharsh and totally correct. Even if they had to go to the bathroom, they held themselves back. If they aimed with Malchus out of fear for the king. The Yil Behem B'nai Yehuda, and amongst the members of Yehuda was Daniel, Hanani, Mishael, Vazai. Amar Avlad Kulam B'nai Yehuda, all of them come from B'nai Yehuda. Rabbi Shmuel Banachmena, Amar Daniel B'nai Yehuda. Only Daniel came from Yehuda. Hanani, Vazai, and Mishael Shvatim came from other Shvatim as well. It says, V'necha, Asher Yetzim Imcha, from the children that come out of you, Asher Toil give born Yikochu, they will be taken. V'hoyu Sarisim, they will become Sarisim. V'heichel Melech Babel, they will become Sarisim. The Heichel of Melech Babel. What does that mean? My Sarisim. Rav says Sarisim Mamish, means literally they were castrated so that they became sterile. And Rav Chinin Amar notes, it's a euphemism, Shenistarsa Avodah Zarah B'meh, that the idol worship was castrated after the Eden saw the Chanaim and Shozai came out of the fire, and they stopped all worshiping idols. So here you have Rav taking it literally, and we have many times Rav and Shmuel argue in Shas, and each time Rav takes it literally, and Shmuel sort of is a bit more figuratively. Like, Yaakov Mel Chadash, even though it says Chadam, one of them says take it literally, a new king, one of them says figuratively. He stopped working about his other Hanasi. We have another passage where it says, he said that Nebuchadnezzar said, I saw the four people, the three people, Chanaim Shazai and Malach behind them. The Chaval lo behind. There was no wound by them. So what does the passage mean? Sadisim? They overturned Avodah Zarah. They were castrated. They didn't have any wounds. Of course they did. They were castrated. So what I said, what he meant was Chavola Denura. I didn't see any impact, any effect, adverse effect from the fire itself. But they might have had other deformities. That's unrelated to what he was saying. You see, it says it says that there's no, even a smell of fire didn't go through them. So what does it mean? So when it says neither one went to them. Because it sounds like that the fire itself didn't affect them, but maybe they had other things. He said, no fire and no wound was impacted by the fire. Even the smoke of the fire didn't cause any, like the smell lingering on with them. Says the Gemara, Hashem said to the Sadisim, Hashem said to the Sadisim, Et Shabsoisai, the Sadisim will keep my Shabbos, and so on. Alamando Amar Sadisim, in other words, they were chosh of the people, and because they stopped up by the Zorah. Alamando Amar Sadisim Mamish, that what? They were just castrated. Mishtoi Krobig Nusafik is talking about that they kept Shabbos and so on. And you listen to me, I'll keep my covenant. Why label them Sadisim that they're the castrated one? Why bring up a sore wound by them? So the mother, you treat them out of the Hava Havabu. They had both. According to one says that they were castrated, but they also had that was sort of stopped in their times. So therefore, when he complimented them, called them Sadisim, this passage gives a compliment. Bishwan of Sadisim Mamish didn't mean they were castrated. Hainach it says, but Basi v'chay Moisai says it says in the passage that I gave them in my house. V'chay Moisai, I gave the yad. The shame toiv and having a good name is better than bonim bonus. They're going to have a good name, and that's better than children. No, but they're not capable of having children, but they're going to have a good name. They have a legacy. They could have children, but only that the result was overturned. My what do you mean is better than having children? Better, they did have children, but they died. At that juncture, all the children died. So he's saying here that your good name will be your legacy, even though you did have children. Then the pasuk continues. Shame oilam, I'll give them a name forever. I shall will never be cut off. What does that mean? This is talking about Sefer Daniel, and Daniel's name of his Sefer is actually named after him. So then when I ask, so talking about Daniel, the everything that happened as the Nehemiah is the narrator. Nehemiah is the one who's saying. So Daniel's Sefer is called after Daniel. So how come Ezra's, which Nehemiah really is the one who's writing the whole Sefer and describing everything, why is it called after Ezra, not after Nehemiah? Why is that called after him? He took credit for himself. It says, remember me for all the good deeds that I did in a good way. David Nami Memon, I'm going to ask a question. Well, David did the same thing. Didn't he say, didn't he say, Hashem, remember me, and remember me with all your helping out? So Gemara says a big difference. David Rachma de Kabay. David was asking Rachmim for himself. Hashem in Nehemiah was just asking Hashem to take care of him in the chus of all the credits that he has. Rabbi Yosef is another reason why it's not called after Nehemiah, rather Ezra, he was derogatory about his predecessors. Remember, it says in the pasuk, the earlier officers, that were before me, they put a lot of pressure on the people. I took from them I took the bread and wine, boyim, and so on and so on. It took expensive, took away money from them, and therefore Nehemiah Gam Daniel he also included Daniel in the previous officers, as if Daniel, perhaps according to the Medrash, also reigned over Yerushalayim for a while. Which Daniel must have lived a very long time, because he's there by Nebuchadnezzar, by Belshazzar, and then they continue on all these years. Today we have Ezra and Nehemiah. So even though the Gemara says that nothing is called after Nehemiah, so what's trapped in the Gemara here? Unless over time something happened and they changed, and we decided to call one of the Sfarim Nehemiah, or the Gemara want to know why both Sfarim were not called Nehemiah, only one of the Sfarim, and we said because of the reason we just learned. How do you know that Daniel was greater than Nehemiah? The Chesiv, it says, Daniel Daniel says, I see alone as Samara, the sight, the people that were with me, loiro. The people that were with me did not see it. It's Samara. But they all got scared. They went hiding. My people with me didn't see it. Who are these people together with Daniel who didn't see this vision? These were the three last Nevi'im, Chagiz, Chaim, Malachi, and they didn't share the same vision. They didn't see what Daniel saw. So therefore we see Daniel's greater than Chagiz, Chaim, Malachi. And Inu Adifa Minei, and they were better than him, but you are different type. Daniel was not a Navi, he's better than them. He saw, they didn't see. And since they were greater than Nehemiah because they were Nevi'im, so it means that Daniel was greater than them. And Nehemiah was a bit critical of his predecessor, including Daniel. So the question is, if Chagiz Chaim Malachi did not see the vision, so why were they filled with fear? My tiny boys, why were they scared? So when it says, even though they didn't see Midi anything, Mazlayu Chazi, the Neshama above did see and sent down a message. We see, sometimes if a person is scared, even though he himself might not have seen the vision, doesn't know why he's scared. Nevertheless, his mazel saw. My takante. So what is the remedy to remove that fear, to lay that fear? Lin shoy meduchte arboga, made it jump from his position for amis or inami or likre krishma, to lane krishma. The koi b'makam atanefes, if he's in an area that he's not allowed to lane krishma, lema hochi. Let's say the following: Iza de beitavcha, that the goats that are sitting in the shlachtois in the slaughterhouse is shemeina minoi, is fatter than I am. So therefore, go after them, leave me alone. We'll stop over here. We'll continue tomorrow in mitzvah.